Hey guys, welcome to another planty video. In this one, well, before we get to that, I am traveling to somewhere that you're gonna wanna know. I reveal it somewhere in this video, so stick around and find out. But anyway, in this video, I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I set seeds that I've basically grown myself on successfully pollinated anthuriums. Well, not grown myself. I am not an anthurium. My Zara F4, Anthurium Zara F4, it's a dock block plant, basically did all the work. But you know what I mean. Starting off with a bang as usual, there's never a dull moment in this garden. This is my philodendron majestic that has completely fallen over on top of my Zara, which I am featuring in this video that has been successfully pollinated. It has almost taken out the entire plant. It's about 4 feet tall and massive. So let me just get this out of the way before we get into it. My Zara is just in front of these. So here we are. This is a successfully pollinated inflow on my Anthurium Zara F4. Let me take you guys back a little bit. I noticed that inflow at the beginning of March. I wasn't sure if it had taken, but because the top or the tip of the inflow was already deteriorating, little did I know that it was successful. Up on the screen now is my Anthurium Ace of Spades hybrid. In a previous video that I'd link below, I explained how to pollinate anthuriums using this hybrid as an example, of which I presented the entire process from when the inflow itself is receiving to when it's successfully pollinated to when seedlings actually grew. In this video, I myself have pollinated my Zara F4 using pollen from my Anthurium pedata radiatum or my Anthurium fingers. Here's what it looks like. The Anthurium fingers was actually the first Anthurium that I started my entire Anthurium collection with. It is such an easy care plant, and I have a number of plants in them. I find it to be quite resilient, just like the Zara F4. They do, however, look wildly different, and I had no idea that the Zara would have taken or the pollination would have been successful. This is just crazy and has been mind blowing for me up until the end of March, where I was just watching this inflow to see how it would develop. As the days passed, I had to protect the inflow as the berries started to emerge from any predators. I have a ton of lizards, so I decided to use this mesh bag to protect it. From the time the berries started popping out at the garden at my old residence, and I was able to see or obtain these seeds that were massive, I had to make a kind of a risky decision because when a plant is basically pregnant, you don't really want to mess with it too much. But for y'all who are new here, I moved and I'm at my new home more than ever. And I had to basically bring the Zara F4 home, especially as we're in the dry season now in Trinidad. So, just the change itself could really make things take a turn for the worst, but I had to. Here in Trinidad in the Caribbean, we experience two seasons, the wet season and the dry season, and currently we're in the dry season. So the risk I was running by leaving this anthurium at my old residence was dehydration. You could see the leaves were already cooled, and once I have a successfully pollinated inflow going, I really would prefer to keep an eye on the plant every day to make sure that things go as planned. The berries also started popping out at a way faster rate than I expected, so I had to switch the mesh sachet that I had originally to this pouch, which was able to contain the berries. As you can see them here, they are huge and popping out. I didn't want to lose any because you never know which seeds will actually be viable from which ones will not. So I want to harvest as many as I could, and they are just bursting out of this inflow. When harvesting the berries, I try to leave them on the inflow for as long as possible to allow for maximum development. Prematurely harvesting the berries can lead to weak seedlings. If the seeds even germinate, you want to make sure that they have enough time to mature on the inflow before removing them from the inflow itself if they haven't fallen off for themselves. This way, you can increase viability or subsequently yield in that your seed to seedling success would increase by allowing your berries to mature for as long as possible. I personally harvest berries when I could see the base of the berry emerging from the inflow. That's the white portion. But I do know of others who've had success by prematurely removing berries, but this is just how I do it. This is a closer look of the Zara F4 in its pretty beat up state. It's quite dehydrated with the leaves turning inward. That's a telltale sign that the plant needs watering. The moss top dressing is quite crispy. I tend to moss all my anthuriums like this to encourage rooting, and I always put tags or leave the tags in my plant just to keep track of things. The anthurium Zara F4, by the way, is a dock block plant, and the second tag is pretty much just the indicator that I use the anthurium fingers pollen to pollinate it. So what I want to do here is pretty much take the moss top dressing off because it is heavily rooted and backfill this just to encourage efficient nutrient uptake by the plant, especially as it's growing berries. It's going to need all the energy and nutrients that it can, and pretty much the pollination process itself really stresses out the plant. So the plan is to get all of these exposed roots under soil just to make sure that all these roots have the ability to absorb nutrients because this plant is going to need it. It is quite a huge plant, and these berries are massive. The roots are pink. That's these pink, the roots are the pink things that are poking out at the top there. And these are some new roots that want to form. So I'm going to get those under moss so it will continue to root. So the plant could just keep absorbing nutrients at maximum capacity. I see that it's trying to push another inflow there as well. This thing is really trying to do the most. So what you're seeing here is my standard anthurium mix. I also have a video on the mix that I use that I'll link below for you guys. And I'm gonna backfill it as you see here. I'm just piling it on into the same pot. This is what it's looking like. The aerials are still exposed. That's where I'm going to pile on more. So you're going to see me do that shortly. But pretty much I piled on as much soil that I could fit on the top there without falling off. And I'm going to top dress it with moss to help the aerials continue to root into the soil. I'm going the extra mile for this one because this is not one I want to lose. Sometimes anthuriums can really take a hit, and I am actually due to travel, so I want to really set this one up for success. I'm hoping all the berries can be harvested before I leave, and I'm hoping that this setup will keep it happy until I return from my trip as well. So I basically piled on the moss and covered the aerials all the way to the top like a little volcano. The last thing I have to do is to just slip my tags back in so that I can continue to keep a track or just stay organized with which plant is what in my plant collection. You know how hard it is to remember all these names. So, having the tag in there really is useful. The next thing I'm going to do is clean out this mini propagation dome. I have a feeling I'm going to need more space than the plastic container you saw me, or you will see me putting them in a plastic container shortly. As usual, all the products I use in my videos will be linked in the description below. The next thing I'm going to do is extract the berries. You're going to see two sets of berries here. These light pink ones I actually harvested off of my variegated Anthurium vitrifolium. They are tiny compared to the Zara F4 berries. I'm going to put them next to each other so you could see the difference in the size as well as the color. This just these little differences make growing anthuriums and pollinating them so fun. This is just another joy of the hobby. Also, I am gonna just show you guys how I extract the berries on both the variegated vitrifolium and the Zara F4. You can see that two seeds already popped out in that one berry that I popped. Having two seeds pop out of a berry is not something unusual. Usually there's one, but sometimes two. So what you're seeing me doing is extracting the seeds by pressing on them or popping them on a paper towel so that it absorbs all the fluid and any organic matter that could possibly cause rot. The methodology that I'm following is what I found on YouTube. I know there are a number of ways to do the same thing or to achieve the same results, but this is just how I do it. I have tried experimenting with not extracting the seeds actually and just tossing the berries into a pot of soil. I did this with my Anthurium Ace of Spades hybrid that you saw earlier, and they grew. So I am really not sure if it's even necessary to pop the berries, but I don't know if it's just from home gardening or indoor gardening, if this methodology has proven to be the most popular or the most successful, but that's just what I found. Having done this method for my Anthurium Ace of Spades hybrid, and I've had such amazing results. I genuinely think all the seeds germinated. I'll link that video for you all so you can see how the entire container was filled with seedlings. But pretty much I'm going to do things exactly how I did it for that one with these. And the next step after extracting the seeds that I do is I put them in water for 28 to 24 to 48 hours just so that they can plump up and start the hydration process. This also helps to easily remove the seed coat. I suspect that this helps to speed up germination because the seed itself can absorb water more readily with the seed coat and not being on. I'm going to do the same for the Zara berries. These Zara berries are massive. They are like a kernel of corn. They are definitely the biggest berries that I've harvested. And there goes the first seed flying off. It's almost the same size as the berry. Look at how small the Vitrifolium seeds are as compared to the Zara seed. Almost microscopic by comparison. I'm going to go ahead and continue popping them. That one had two seeds in it. So I'm just going to move through all and pop. I have so many more Zara seeds as compared to the Vitrifolium seeds. These are all of them all popped out. This is going to be such an exciting process. I know some of you guys have already messaged me on Instagram out of curiosity. Okay, so I counted all the seeds. I have 84 seeds from the Zara F4 berries and 21 seeds from the Vitrifolium. This was just me adding the Zara berries to the water. Here's another size comparison between the two. So they're both going to sit in water until I find that they plump up. This was the next morning. You can see how cloudy the water is, and there's a lot of plant matter floating around in there. So I'm going to change this water out, and I'm hoping I'm able to show you guys the seed coats. I don't know if you can look carefully. You can see these clear, like really thin floating objects in the water. That's actually the seed coat. So I've switched the water out there, and here's a much clearer view of the seeds in the water, in the clean water. You can still see some seed coats in there, but pretty much I think these are ready to be incubated. These are the Vitrifolium seeds. They have, I mean, it's hard to see it on camera, but they did plump up a little. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in sphagnum moss next. In both cases, I'm going to have them germinate in the plant room at my new home, which is in here. So the container I'm using for the Zara F4 berries is that one. These are the berries that I'm just going to empty the water before I place them in a bed of moss. So this is just me pouring out all the water. And pretty much I'm just going to lay it again on a paper towel to absorb whatever remaining water there is. Just for ease of picking them up, I use a tweezer and I spread the seeds just so that I can, easily grip them. So they're going to go into this plastic container that I filled with sphagnum moss. Those containers I actually got from PriceSmart, and they're shoe bins pretty much. But I love using them as storage or using these containers to germinate seeds in. I find they're so useful because of the clear lids and just the clear nature of it. So, I can keep things organized and pretty much see everything in the containers too if I am using it for organization as well as germination, because I can see when the seeds actually start to grow roots or when they start to germinate on or turn into seedlings. I pretty much use clear containers for a lot of things thinking about it in this plant hobby. I use it to store all my soil amendments as well, just for easy visuals and just easy grabbing. I like to contain all my things too, especially if I have to pot up inside the house or if rain is falling and I really want to get my chores done. It really is useful to have these clear containers on hand. More relevant to this video though, this plastic container or any plastic container that has a lid pretty much provides greenhouse conditions. So in the absence of having your plants grow in a greenhouse and to speed up germination and be pretty much being able to provide greenhouse conditions for the seeds using a plastic container is quite a cost effective way of achieving greenhouse conditions for these seeds that help them germinate faster and pretty much just provide the conditions for germination. This process is a time consuming one, and not only just waiting for the seeds to germinate, but to just set the seeds themselves because they are so tiny. And in some cases, they are quite numerous, like this one where I have 84 seeds to set and I have not fully harvested the inflow. This was just the batch that you saw me harvest. I want to give you guys a true appreciation of how long it takes. So I'm going to speed up these bits, and every sped up clip was basically a little over than a minute long. So it took me like about 5 minutes, honestly, but just so that you get an appreciation for the process, I thought it'll be useful just to still include these clips. For me personally, I don't feel the time. This is just what it takes to actually be a part of this hobby or to just have this as a hobby. So I thoroughly enjoy it. It is quite therapeutic for me to just sit down and set these seeds. I really do love it. I know a lot of people just put on a TV or put on a video, whatever you enjoy doing as well. I would say if you want to speed up the time, just, get something going, put on Audible, listen to a book, all of that. I've seen people do and enjoy. But for me personally, my life is so fast paced already. I have a little toddler running around, sorry. And just in general, I love slowing things down. And that's what I get out of this plant hobby. It really slows down my time, slows down my mind. That's why I say, it's quite therapeutic for me. So I thoroughly enjoy this process. I would absolutely love to know what is your take on the plant hobby in terms of what it does for you, how you got into it, why you got into it, what's the, nature of your collection. I've met so many of you guys on Instagram and so many of you all have been watching my videos and I am so grateful that you all are. My intention with starting this YouTube channel here in Trinidad anyway is because I have always had to look for international resources of information or just relying on international research. So I am hoping to build a community here on YouTube as well, especially for us who live in Trinidad to just to have some actual work or actual demonstrations being provided or experiences shared in this hobby that we could connect to, that we could relate with, we could shop at the places that are being listed in the videos, but more so just so that we can have our own little community here in the Caribbean, hopefully eventually. So please don't be shy. Please chime in and comment below. Let's really get the discussions going. I would love to hear your feedback. I would love to hear how you do things, and just continue to have a platform to learn in this hobby. With all that said, I hope you feel me. And pretty much, I got all these Zara seeds in bed, tucked away nice. And I'm going to do the same for the Vitrifolium seeds, the variegated Vitrifolium seeds. So pretty much all the seeds are going to lay on a bed of moist sphagnum moss. This is a mini propagation dome. I got this on Amazon and it will be linked below. So I just put some moist sphagnum moss in here, just like I did for the Zara F4. And place the seeds on top of it. I'm not like pushing it down or anything. I'm literally just dropping the seed on the surface of the moss. No big math in it really. And basically the humidity is what does the work or makes the magic happen. Humidity in that you want to try or aim for 80 to 100% humidity using the sealed container guarantees that easily. I also have a mini greenhouse in here that you'd have seen me zip up or open out to get this little propagation dome out of. I got that from FCMC. That is also doing a great job. I haven't tried to germinate seeds in it per se, but my seedlings grow in them happily. Just to quantify the moisture in these propagation domes for you all as best as I can, pretty much if you squeeze the moss, no water should be dripping out or streaming out of your hand. It really is damp and fluffed to just give the seeds room for the roots to grow out of and basically attach to the moss or grow into the moss to be hydrated and eventually be able to take up the nutrients. I'm just grabbing the seeds here to set them also. Sorry, I didn't mean to say nutrients because obviously the seeds have no roots to take up anything. It's really just in water alone. However, when I see that first leaf emerge on the seedling, I start to feed it at that point, and basically I'll do another follow-up video for you all to see how I care for the seedlings once these germinate successfully. You can definitely look out for that. I will also post updates on Instagram, so feel free to give me a follow there if you are interested in seeing the process even further. Also, where I get all my plants are listed on my Instagram profile. And pretty much I'm just gonna set up this humidity dome as I did with the Zara seeds, ensuring that they are located in a spot to receive brighter indirect light. This room receives diffused west facing light, so it's pretty well lit. And just like that, we've come to the end of the video. Thank you so much if you're still here watching. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. If you're returning, thank you so much for coming back. I'll be sure to make a video, a follow-up video to this one where, we can connect the dots and really see these seeds through. Remember to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the content. It really does give me the motivation to continue making these videos. More so if you are doing the same thing that I'm doing, whether it's growing anthuriums from seed or just growing anthuriums or growing aroids in general in Trinidad or in the Caribbean, please get in touch. Let's start the discussion going. Let's get this community rolling. I would love to find out how you guys are doing the same things that I'm doing. Hopefully, we can just all become more efficient at growing in this hobby. By the way, if you're curious as to where I'm traveling to, I'm going to Ecuador in Orlando.